So, good evening, everyone. We're absolutely delighted you're with us at the International Women's Day to celebrate MIGA's third annual Gender CEO Award. My name is Vamsi Kanchi, and I handle communications for MIGA. We have with us an outstanding lineup of speakers. First is President Kim, who will come in a minute. But we also have Keiko Honda, EVP and CEO of MIGA, Philippe Leroux, CEO of IFC, our guest of honor, Julie Monaco of Citi, and VP of World Bank Treasury, Arunma Ote. We'll open this evening with remarks from President Kim and then get into the program. It'll quickly become apparent to you why Ms. Monaco has been selected recipient of this year's award and why we at MIGA are so excited to be working with her. The Gender CEO Award recognizes leaders with a record of seeking to create opportunities for women while contributing to our own twin goals. You'll see that Ms. Monaco exceeds these criteria. We'll close off with what is sure to be a lively discussion driven by the World Bank Group's Youth to Youth Group, an organization I was once a member of but sadly no longer qualify. A few housekeeping rules, if you don't mind. We won't be offended if you look at your phones, just as long as you're tweeting. And please use the hashtag #WomenLeadingFinance. We also have placed cards for you to ask questions. So whenever a thought arises, please do jot it down, and we'll gather questions later. Let me also acknowledge our online viewers watching at live.worldbank.org. Finally, there will be a reception immediately after the event, so please do stay in the atrium. And with that, if I could have Dr. Kim, please.
Thanks, everybody, and welcome, good afternoon, welcome to the World Bank Group, and happy International Women's Day to everybody. This is the third year that MIGA has presented the Gender CEO Award, and every year I'm both humbled and impressed by the caliber of the women we honor. As you'll hear shortly, we're very happy to have with us Julie Monaco, someone who consistently ranks among the most powerful women in finance, and we're very happy now to add her to this great group of awardees. This event celebrates Julie's accomplishments, but it's important for two other reasons. First, this is an opportunity for women leaders in development finance to share their experiences with others, and it's especially beneficial for women starting their careers or taking the next step. Second, it draws attention to the role that women are playing in crowding in private capital to meet the world's biggest development challenges. I won't give away too much about Julie, except to say that she manages Citi's relationship with the public sector, including international financial institutions. American Banker newspaper said that part of her role is to understand the worries of governments and central banks around the world. That includes issues such as combating corruption, promoting transparency, harnessing innovation, and shaping how Citi channels its resources toward development around the world. Since shortly before its inception, MIGA has worked with Citi, partnering on nearly 40 deals, collectively worth around $1.2 billion over the last 3 decades. Those deals have supported projects ranging from opening new bank branches across the globe, to backing the expansion of the metro line in Panama City, to supporting small and medium enterprises in Turkey. Citi also offers a great example for progress in gender equality. Earlier this year, it became the first large U.S. bank to disclose gender and racial pay data, which revealed virtually no gap in pay between its 75,000 male and female employees. That's really remarkable. And a survey last year of commercial financial institutions ranked Citi the highest in terms of gender representation in management, with 43% of senior positions held by women. Citi is active in our clients' countries, working with We Connect International, a global network that connects women-owned businesses to markets and customers around the world. Citi and We Connect are helping women-owned businesses, especially in developing countries, earn additional $100 million over the next 3 years. And Citi is a member of the UN Secretary General's high-level panel on women's economic empowerment, which promotes women's leadership to drive economic growth and improve economic outcomes for women around the world. This event celebrates the achievements of women leading at the highest levels of the financial industry. But we know that access to finance remains a critical issue for women across the globe. Around 1.1 billion women and girls worldwide remain outside the formal financial system. IFC, represented by Philippe, the private sector arm of the World Bank Group, estimates that women-owned enterprises represent just over 30% of formal registered businesses worldwide, and that there's a $300 billion annual deficit for women businesses in terms of access to capital. In too many countries, legal restrictions on women's right to work, head a household, or inherit and hold property mean they're less likely to have an account, save and borrow, and use the full variety of financial services. We're working across the World Bank Group to address these disparities, and will continue partnering with institutions like Citi and leaders like Julie to close these gaps and ensure that women have access to finance everywhere. I want to thank the panelists, Keiko, Aruma, Philippe, for their leadership on this issue, but on so many other issues. And congratulations to Julie on this great award, and thank you for being here. Thank all of you. Once again, happy International Women's Day. You're gonna have a great treat in listening to this panel. Thanks very much.
And thank you. Now we'll have some remarks from Keiko. All right, thanks.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining MIGA's Gender CEO Award ceremony. Let me start telling you that how happy I am to celebrate International Women's Day with you. We are honored to have Julie Monaco as the recipient of the third MIGA Gender CEO Award. Julie, you are a pioneer in the private sector finance industry for your work in the development world. I respect how you can create business and how you support other women leaders. It is a privilege to work with you. Today is a celebration of women leading finance. It is a celebration of how women are changing the industry. Women leading finance is also an expression of hope, a dream of a future in which women thrive in this industry. I have spent 30 years in finance. For those who know my love of the Excel spreadsheet and late-night number crunching, this may come as somewhat of a surprise, but this is a career path I never expected to take. People tend to make assumptions about my background. Don't let my family name fool you. I am not part of the famous Honda Motor family. As a matter of fact, I even don't drive a Japanese car. I am from a small city on the southern island of Japan. My mother placed no value on the grade and never pushed me to study. I went to a countryside public schools where more than half of the students never attend college. I did not speak English until I was 22 years old. From the age 3, I studied music, and as a child, I spent more time reading music scores than books. My aspirations were simple and culturally appropriate for that time. I wanted to be a music teacher. That I would become the CEO of MIGA was simply unimaginable. We know that many women hold themselves back from achieving what they want by a story they hold. A story that sounds like this: I am not qualified. I am not qualified to apply for this job. I am not qualified to run for office. I am not qualified to participate in this conversation. Regardless of what grades we got or what positions we've held, this is a story women tell themselves. It is the story that passed through my head early in my career when I worked as a consultant and was asked to present in the boardroom. I would walk into the room, look around, and think, I am the only woman in this room. I am the shortest person in this room. I don't belong here. It was a story in my head when, after 2.5 years at the consulting firm, I was made manager, the youngest manager in Japan. All of my associates were older than me, and they are all men. My team members were not happy about young women serving major financial institutions. Am I really qualified to be here? I ask myself. Did I prepare well enough? As a petite Asian woman, I had no gravitas. I needed to demonstrate delivery to get people's buy-in. I delivered even through moments of doubt. This became a winning strategy for me, delivering beyond expectations. Every day, every hour, every time. To this day, I still ask myself, how can I exceed the expectation of my clients, my board, my boss, and my staff? Being a women leader in a male-dominated industry is uncomfortable. There are situations that will trigger doubt. But this uncomfortable feeling, you have to live with it. The easy fix, of course, either to get out or don't get in. But if you stay in the room and then move through discomfort and contribute, people will notice. Not every time, but over time. You will gain credibility. Your colleagues become more willing to work with you and advocate for you. Women leading finance, it is not a question of qualification, it's a matter of courage to stay in the room. I still have moments when I question my sense of belonging. It's to be expected when nearly every economic forum I walked into is a sea of men. The feeling is subtle but present. So I pause and I remind myself that my presence in the room is not just about me. I represent a purpose far greater than myself. I am there on behalf of MIGA's mission to end extreme poverty. I am there for my daughter and for all the women who will one day join me in the realm where they belong. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Keiko, for those very inspiring words. Happy International Women's Day. My name is Wanda Davila, and I am one of MIGA's diversity inclusion members. Today, we join millions around the globe to celebrate the accomplishments of those who help make gender equality a reality. We all can have the opportunity to reach for success in a world where women are able to equally participate in shared prosperity and no longer live in extreme poverty. Established in 2015, the MIGA Gender CEO Award recognizes senior managers who demonstrate a record of seeking to create opportunities for women and promoting their advancement or promoting gender equality while contributing to the World Bank's group's twin goals of reducing poverty and boosting shared prosperity. This year, we recognize Julie Monaco, Citi's global head for public sector at the third annual MIGA CEO Award. In her honor, this year's theme is Women Leading Finance. She is a proud mother and a mentor to many, an active member of Citi's Women's Network and Citi Salutes Veterans Network. She contributes to the promotion of gender equality and advancement of individuals who many times are overlooked. Thank you, Julie, for serving as an inspiration to us and also many finding you a role model. And now please join me watching a short video that highlights Julie's accomplishments in diversity in the finance sector, as well as how MIGA and Citi are working together.
So if I could please ask our speakers to stand up so we can give the award to Ms. Monaco. I think, Keiko, if you could get the award. Sorry, and then we're just going to take a quick picture, if you don't mind. Yeah. Sure. All right. And I think we just have a...
Keiko, thank you so much, and to everyone here today. I'm extremely honored to be here receiving this award. And although you're giving this award to me, I feel that I need to acknowledge and thank my organization, Citi, who provided me with the platform to be recognized as a leader in development finance and a culture that has enabled me to dedicate so much of my time to efforts that are focused on diversity and in the advancement of women. I have worked at Citi for 10 years and continue to be impressed by the strength of our organization to deliver for clients globally, like you saw on that video. But we know that the strength comes from our most important asset in our organization, which is our people. The commitment to invest in having the best diverse workforce, not only because it's the right thing to do, but because it has proven to be the key to driving better solutions and business outcomes for our clients. I have had the opportunity to be involved in sponsoring our diversity and women's leadership programs. This has enabled me to meet and mentor many women and men over the years. This is a role that I enjoy and I value, as I have 5 key mentors throughout my 33-year career who I still talk to, and many are retired at this point, who have been instrumental in my development and my success. We have affinity groups at Citi for many different diversities, many different types of diversity. And those affinity groups are actually owned by direct reports to Michael Corbett, which shows you how important we place that.
So Jim Coles is our CEO of Europe, and he, together with Tracy Borson, who runs our private bank, are the co-chairs of what we call City Women. There's a chapter in every country in the world that we operate in. And when I travel around the world to work on the types of deals that you see in the video, I always take the time to have breakfast or lunch or cocktails with the women in those offices. And I learn about how the challenges are different between Japan and Hong Kong, and how the women in Japan tell me, but the women in Hong Kong have it so much easier in terms of the challenges they're facing. And I do hear about not only the diversity, not only what women are facing, but how diverse those challenges are country by country and culture by culture. But what we do have is a common agenda of what we focus on at City Women. We focus on first attracting, developing, and promoting the best female talent. Secondly, we focus on business networking, having a business purpose and networking with senior leader women from our clients. And third, we really focus on investing in young women in the communities where we operate, because we feel that we have a social responsibility to make sure that the pipeline of the next generation of women come to City and are ready to lead. I was asked to share a bit about my own career progression and key opportunities and challenges that I have faced. I don't know about all of you, and Keiko certainly shared her story about thinking she was going to be a music teacher, but I certainly didn't grow up thinking I want to be a banker. But I was always fascinated by the world and I was determined to have a career that allowed me to travel globally, work with people from all different countries, and help solve some of the most complex problems facing the world. A typical, very ambitious and idealistic agenda for a young person. And like most young people, I had to reconcile that with the reality of my first job. I started my banking career in operations management training program for the treasury management and trade finance business. And at the age of 22, I had the opportunity to lead a team of 25 people who had been working at the bank longer than I had been alive. It was in this first role that I learned that in order to have a high-performing team, that you needed to quickly assess the talents and motivations of each individual and invest time in developing them to perform at their best. Even in my early days, I was able to talk to bankers from all over the world to solve problems for clients. And early career experiences often offer the best opportunities for learning, even if you don't realize it at the time. I was fortunate to join banking at a time when walls were being torn down and globalization was taking off. I remember spending many weeks in a back office of banks in Moscow, training them how to connect to the SWIFT network so they and their clients could join the global economy. Not a very glamorous in terms of the actual work I was doing, but I was thrilled because I never imagined I would ever visit Moscow, no less work there with fellow bankers. I spent my early years in banking building the technology and pipes that allowed the global economy to grow so fast. But I always kept my eye on the bigger picture and was confident that I had already achieved my career goal, as I was already traveling around the world and I was working with people from different countries and providing solutions that enabled economic progress. So my word of advice to young bankers in the room today who think their entry-level roles are not what they imagined: keep your eye on the bigger picture. Be curious enough to understand how the work that you're being asked to do connects to the strategic goals of your firm. Extend yourself for the good of your organization, and opportunities to achieve your career goals will happen. My greatest challenge happened recently. It happened 5 years ago when I was asked to step out of my comfort zone of global transaction banking to join the corporate investment bank to lead the public sector business. It was a steep learning curve, which involved studying and getting my securities and investment banking licenses and expanding my financing knowledge way beyond the world of trade finance. It has been, for me, the best experience of my career. There is nothing more motivating than challenging yourself to learn at an intense level again after being an expert for so long. And when you can no longer count on being the expert in the room, your ability to attract and develop the best talent and lead that talent and give them opportunities becomes that much more important. So one of the most fulfilling experiences has been helping drive the role Citi plays in development finance. And so much of that was covered on the video, which I saw for the first time today, so I won't repeat it. But Citi's been financing progress around the world for 200 years, so I joined a very accomplished team when I took over this role. But with the increased focus and attention, I have watched our team build an even stronger, deeper relationship with the World Bank. We are both large, complex organizations, and we've all been at this for a really long time. So sometimes it's easy not to change. But I think that what we've seen over the last 5 years is that we've intensified our focus on working together, aligning ourselves around the Sustainable Development Goals, and figuring out ways that the strength of our organizations combined can create a better outcome for the world. There's no better example of that than the partnership between Citi and MIGA. Our teams have regular joint strategy sessions that have led to product innovations and creative solutions for our joint clients. One great example that we did work on, you saw in the video, was with Turk and Exim Bank, where we partnered so they could scale investments in SMEs and exporters. This one loan is estimated to have created 20,000 new jobs in Turkey, including 4,000 jobs for women. It is one example of the power of our partnership and what we can achieve together. So Keiko, I thank you again for this great honor today. I also want to thank you for your leadership that has enabled our partnership to grow so much over the last few years. And I want to thank all my colleagues at Citi, because this award really represents all of you. We are all so proud of the work that we do together with the World Bank, and we realize that we have a lot more to do and accomplish together, and we look forward to that. So thank you.
All right, so we're going to try something different this time, this year. We have asked the Youth to Youth group to drive the conversation with our speakers. For those of you not yet familiar with them, the Youth to Youth group, or if you'd prefer Y2Y, is a network of young World Bank Group employees aiming to channel fresh ideas into operations and engage, inspire, and empower youth in development. I'm going to ask that each of our speakers jump in as they best see fit, although of course it's perfectly fine if we have a question directed to a particular individual. With that, let me ask the first question from Y2I. If you wouldn't mind please introducing yourself and including the unit you're with. So.
Hi, my name is Salima Villani, and I work here at the World Bank in agriculture. And so I'm representing here Youth to Youth community, which is called here, we call it Y2Y community. And it's basically a network of young professionals here at the World Bank Group that's dedicated to engaging, inspiring, and empowering young individuals in international development. So our first question is, how can we leverage the private sector, what we call here at the bank maximize finance for development, to create opportunities and promote gender equality for women in underserved communities? Thank you.
I guess it's for me.
Sure, Philippe.
Well, there's many ways to do it, and first of all, I mean, there's many aspects to gender equality. First of all, I mean, for me, first and foremost, it's good business. Yes, it's moral, but on top of that, it's good business. So I know it may go without saying, but I feel much better when I say it. And it's true, and the numbers are there to prove it. From microfinance to SMEs to bigger enterprise, we see that when it is a SME headed by a woman, repayment is better. And we have a lot of data. So I have a bias because I like to make money. For sustainability of IFC, it's absolutely indispensable. So that's first. Second, now, how do we do more of that? Since it's a good business, how do you expand this good business? And I think Jim said it during his introductory remarks. In every country, there's at least one law that is, how can I say, anti-gender or that is not favorable to the woman. So what we've been pushing, since the question was MFD, and I like to think cascade more. So how we can work together as a group where the bank can push through governments the reforms, the policy reforms that will remove issues on inheritance, for example, because assets are very important, access to assets. And at the same time, on the IFC side, we do a lot and in many different ways. And you'll be surprised what we do. A lot of it is access to finance. Again, you heard some of the polling statistics that Jim quoted. So we do a lot of that, and we do more and more of that. So that's one thing. But now we just had the gender work focus on child care. I know it may sound like a detail, but it's huge. We estimated that by improving the child care, the attraction and retention of women increased dramatically, and that's very good for the business. For example, Mitsubishi, and it's not theoretical, Mitsubishi in Japan improved their child care. They saved $45 million just by being able to retain their women staff. So this is not theoretical. We have an extremely good study that you can find on our website. So we work more with our company, the companies in which we invest, to show them this evidence and push them to actually do it. And for them, it's a cost benefit. So it is incumbent on us to show this cost benefit, and most of the time it works, and it works very well. Then you'll be surprised that that's a surprise. We just have a study coming out in the refugee camps. We have the Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya. It's 160,000 people. It's huge. It's the largest refugee camp in the world, from what I know. So here, even in refugee camp, you can see women entrepreneurs making a huge difference. And you can see on our website, there's a study that there's a woman, I think her name is Mama Sia. She started a bakery. And now she has 10 employees, more than self-sufficient, making a living, and it started with a small loan. And look at the study, it's fascinating. So you'll be surprised how much we can do on the private sector. From financing, but beyond financing. We have, sorry, cut me because I can go on forever. But in Palestine, we worked with a woman in Palestine where we created, because we talked to the bankers, local, and they say, well, a lot of the problem to get to most of the entrepreneurs is they don't know how to present a business plan. So we created a mini MBA, very short, and that unlocked, I don't have the statistics in mind, unlocked a lot of value added. It was quite surprising. So we didn't even do, it was pure advisory. We didn't put a cent, but just this advisory, this little action. So now we're trying to scale up. I have another great example on more formal in Lebanon. But anyway, I can see, okay, I get the body language.
Thank you,
So thank you.
So I think Aruna wanted to add something.
I do want to echo what Philippe has said around us focusing on a mindset that it makes good business sense to focus on closing the gender gap. But before I say that, I have to say, Julie and Keiko, thank you for what you represent for women. Thank you for being such great examples for all of us. And to the MIGA team, a big thank you for giving us this opportunity to celebrate women, but to celebrate what, in my view, is the future of the world. I mean, when I look back on some of the data on why it makes good business sense, I'm in shock that we can basically unleash more than $5 trillion within the next 7 years if we close the gap by just 25%. And I'm saying to myself, why are we not doing it? And so the question for me is, we need to focus not on, I mean, it's good, it makes us feel good, it's inclusive, but let's focus on the fact that it makes good business sense. Philippe talked about some of the examples of what women are doing. What we're seeing in World Bank Treasury is that maybe driven by millennials and people like the Y2Y, and I don't know if you want volunteer members who are beyond the age limit. I would like to be a member because there will be $30 trillion in a few years that will be transferred to young people. So young people are driving decision making. And what we're seeing is that investors are saying, we want to make money, but we want it to be for specific purpose. So we're seeing investors who are saying, we want to make money focusing on how organizations support women. So in January this year, we partnered with the Canadian government and we did a $1 billion Canadian bond issue focused on trying to bring awareness to issues of women empowerment. Last month, we did something for a Swedish insurer, Folksam, $350 million. They wanted to focus on gender, on health, on climate and others. So there is the appetite from retail investors, from institutional investors, on focusing on how we close this gap.
Okay, wonderful, thanks. So maybe we'll move to the next question. So I think now if we can have the second Y2Y representative, please. And this one is a very special one for us, but and your unit.
Hello, my name is Diego Soto, and I work at MIGA at the Legal Affairs and Claims Group. And my question is related to what has been discussed in the panel and the fact that I'm part of the Y2Y community. And that's, what advice do you have for young professionals? How are you helping young people be able to find the opportunities that will help them develop and grow both professionally but also personally? Thank you.
I gave some advice in my talk, but I think for young people, some of the advice that I give the analysts when they first come in and start working at the bank is about finding what your passion is. Because if you're passionate about what you're doing every day, it doesn't feel like work. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but this is an industry that requires a lot of time and dedication. So you really do need to find whatever that niche is, something that you're really going to love. In terms of ways that we help develop, a lot of it is about mentoring and development programs. And at Citi, we have a combination of mentoring programs where we assign young people to mentors outside their business units so that they have someone that they can talk to. But one of the advice that I give young people all the time is create a network that makes sense for the firm. And what I mean about that is a lot of young people come to me and say, how should I network? How should I learn how to network and meet the right people? And I always say, draw a box around your job and think about the 6 points of connectivity that go beyond your job and go meet those 6 people. And together figure out what's broken, what's not working well, what's not serving the client well, and figure out how through those people that you wouldn't normally talk to, you solve a problem for the client and you solve a problem for the firm. And so I tell people all the time, it's not about networking to build a brand, it's about accomplishing something to build a reputation. And as you do that, people start tapping you on the shoulders and offering you new opportunities. So that's probably the best advice I have to young people.
Well, I like to second what Julie said on mentoring, because we launched a program in 2015 exactly along the same ideas, and it's working. In fact, it's working so well that yesterday we had a town hall meeting in IFC where I put it on Boost and tried to expand it. I mean, this is absolutely key. The networking, you said absolutely. And for me, the most important is passion. I mean, if every day you go to a work that you really don't like, I mean, that's not very good. So this is not that very complicated, but it's very, very important. So a lot of young staff come to me, and I was a YP many years ago, obviously, and they say, well, what did you do for your career? I mean, first advice is I had no career plan. I always followed every time. In fact, when I came to the World Bank with in mind going back to France after 3 years, after learning English, and right back to Paris. But as you can hear, I mean, I'm still working on the English side. So after 30 years, I'm still around. But the recipe is very simple. Do what you like. And that's what I've done. That has been my only guide that's my only career plan.
I'd like to talk about what the institution should do. And for me, I joined the World Bank almost 2.5 years ago, and it was great to walk into a room where I saw people that looked like me, other women. And what James done, what Philippe, Keiko, and you all have done to encourage women in more senior positions is absolutely phenomenal. Our CEO for the World Bank is a woman, Kristalina. Keiko is a woman. MIGA. Our new COO for IFC is a woman. Stephanie, our General Counsel, is a woman. Sandy, Yvonne is our Corporate Secretary. VP of External Relations is sitting right in front of me. Here, Sheila is a woman. We've got regional VPs that are women. We've got sector VPs that are women. Because when young people see people like them who are in senior positions, they feel they can aspire. And I second everything, Julie, that you've said and Philippe said as well. In terms of advice, my colleagues know that I've got 10 principles that I think have helped me along the way, but I'll focus on a few of them. Courage, confidence, risk-taking is extremely important. What's the worst that can happen, particularly when you're young, and you will learn. The second for me is to not think about failure. Think about the fact that you fail forward, that you learn from a bad experience, that it's actually an opportunity for you to reflect and course correct. The third for me, as you look around at successful people, they read a lot. Invest in yourself. And investing means reading, it means taking stretch assignments, it means doing the extra work, and then remember to focus on your values. It's passion. Most of us who come to the World Bank focus on integrity. We have empathy, we have compassion, we want to make a difference. Those are the additional things that make you enjoy every day of work. And please have fun. The one thing I wish that I did was that I had more fun, because it gets harder. And Keiko, Philippe, Jim, and Kristalina, they just work us really hard. So when you're younger, just have more fun. And have fun anyway. Have a positive attitude. That is extremely important.
All right, great. And we'll have the third question. And just as a reminder, again, each of you have cards on your chairs or even with ushers. So please do write out your questions. We have a few minutes. We'll have a few minutes for questions. So the third question.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So I'm Coralie, working in finance at the World Bank, and I'm also a member of the steering committee of Y2Y. So the third question is, a lot has been accomplished to increase female representation in the leadership of the financial sector. Some of these efforts include mentorship and leadership programs focused on women. What do you think is the next step towards equity?
There's been tons of studies done on this topic for years and years, probably since I joined banking. And some of the statistics that we have is that when we look at our incoming classes of junior bankers, it's 50-50. And by the time we get to VPs, it's down to 35-40%. And by the time we get to MDs, it's down to 20%. And so we have developed a lot of leadership programs to change those statistics, and we're watching those statistics go in the right direction at Citi. One is the fact that you have to have every job posted and you have to have a diverse slate. We recently came to the realization it's not enough just to have a diverse slate. The people interviewing the people on that slate have to be diverse. So you have to force that as well. So we're continuing to look at improving our methods to get the right outcome in terms of creating opportunities. We know that as it relates to women, that many women always have their heads down and are waiting for someone to tap them on the shoulder. They don't raise their hand when that risky new position comes up. And often that is because women feel like they're holding on by their fingernails because they're doing two jobs. They're doing the job in the office and they have their full-time job outside the office. And so what we have found is that we have to talk to women about, and I say this to women all the time, people ask me, how do you do a senior role? I said, I don't have any more hours in the day than you do. I have to sleep too. It's not that my job is any harder because I'm in a more senior job. That's not the reason not to raise your hand. We all work hard in this industry. As a matter of fact, when you become more senior, you have a little bit more flexibility because you have a wonderful team working for you. So those are the things we're working on to make it better. But I think one thing that I'm focused on now is that if we're going to get more women to not leave right at the point in time where they're able to contribute the most to the organization they've put in 10, 12 years, is we have to make. We've talked in the last 20 years about how to make it better for working women. I think we need to change the dialogue to how to make the work environment better for young families. And until we get to a point where we understand that raising a young family is a joint responsibility between the mother and the father, and it's not about accommodating women who want to have a career and raise children, it's about accommodating young families. And if we can change the dialogue towards that, and more women and more men will feel confident taking paternity leave and feel confident leaving on the night when their wife has to work late, we will change this outcome. And so that's the thing. That's the next thing I think we have to focus on.
Thank you. So we have just about a few minutes left. So just one question that we've received, or that we can take, and it's very much along the theme of this evening, which is how can we increase representation of women at the board level of financial institutions? Sorry.
Just appoint them.
I'll repeat the question, sorry. So the question is, how can we increase representation of women at the board level of financial institutions?
How do we increase the board? Women in board.
I think just do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think it's about the diverse slate. All right, we at Citi, 8 years ago didn't have a very diverse board. And we're now up to over 30% of our board members are women, and that was a conscious decision to do that. We did that by going out and making it a priority and making sure that the slates, as we were looking for new board members, that the slates had talented women on it. And I think that when you make it a focus, you can make it happen. And I think that I don't think you need quotas. I know there's a lot of quotas in Europe. I don't think you need that. You just need an organization with leadership at the top that's committed to it.
I agree with what Julie said, because your CEO is extremely committed. He serves on the, I think there's a CEO initiative called CCP, and he's been very vocal about the importance of diversity on issues like this. And if we go back to, Philippe, what you said about the mindset has to be that it makes business sense. McKinsey's done research that said that if you have the people who have more senior women in the top quartile that have more women, their profitability is 21% better. But it's not just about profitability. It influences long-term value creation. It influences innovation when you have different perspectives in a boardroom. So I think we have to go back to showing the business case for why you need diversity in boardrooms. So that people take it and not think that they're doing a favor to women or minority groups, that they do it because it makes business sense.
Aluma, thank you very much for quoting the research. Actually, I was in a team that worked on it. The research, we looked at the company which has one board member woman or multiple board member women. One woman actually does not much difference. But if you have multiple board members, return on equity is improving. It was clear, and it was universal. We looked at it, Europe, US, not we, maybe I have to say they. But they looked at US, Europe, and Asia. Can I just make a comment? Because we have some board members here, including male board members. My understanding is also the World Bank Group board members are very positively discussing how to diversify, to be inclusive, more different type of genders.
So I appreciate that progress.
From the IFC side, I mean, we are a bit different from the other part of the organization because we have actually investment in equity. Equity means you have a seat at the table, at the board, and we appoint who will represent IFC. It's arm's length, but we basically choose. And we have a deliberate effort to increase the number of women board members in the company where we are invested in equity. So we're a little bit better than the other part of the institution because we have actually this avenue and we use it. So that's just a little. And by the way, for those of you that don't know, we just changed our name in IFC. Huh? You know, International Finance Corporation. It's now Integrity, Fairness, and Courage.
All right, great. Well, with that note, let me thank you, everyone, for giving us sharing such great thoughts. Yeah. Before we end, may I ask Merli Baroudi to come and give a few closing remarks.
Thank you very much. Yes, my name is Merli Baroudi, and I'm the Director of Economics and Sustainability at MIGA. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this very fascinating event, also for those online as well. We've had quite a distinguished panel here today, and we've heard many insightful and really very inspirational comments from our panelists. From Julie, we heard, "Forget that you're a woman, you're a banker." From Philippe, we heard that SMEs headed by women, their repayment performance is better. From Arunma, who I'd like to just personally thank for being a mentor to me. From Arunma, we heard that it is great to walk into the room and see women who look like me. And finally, from my boss, from Keiko, her comment that women in the room where they belong. However, I'm not actually here to recap these highlights. I'm actually here to tell you that we're actually not quite done with the event today. We have a wonderful reception planned for you, and we hope you take that opportunity to speak to some of our panelists, to speak to our hardworking and inspired MIGA staff, and also to speak to some of our guests today. So I look forward to seeing you at the reception, and please join me in a round of applause for our panelists.